Secretary Hegseth, if you listen to my comments, you would have heard me say how amazing our warfighters are.
I heard failure. And the word heard, I heard exactly what you said.
I will tell you how I use the word failure, because I use the word failure to their leaders. You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war.
One of the biggest criticisms of the Trump administration has been that it talks a lot about strength, but struggles to explain what the long-term strategy actually is. And that's exactly what this hearing exposed. In this clip, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth comes under intense pressure from both Democrats and Republicans over the ongoing war with Iran, billions of dollars in additional military spending, and whether the administration actually has a plan to achieve its objectives. At one point, a Democratic senator doesn't hold back, calling Hegseth, not America's troops, the real failure of this war. Meanwhile, Republican senators demand answers about Iran's underground nuclear facilities, and military leaders are forced to respond to growing questions about the true cost of the conflict. Now, if you're new here, I'm Bradley Hostin, and this is The Bradley Hostin Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news commentaries. I need you guys to stick around until the very end, because after we watch this clip, I want to explain why I think this hearing exposed one of the biggest weaknesses of the Trump administration's approach to the Iran war. As usual, let's watch the clip and then I'll give you guys my thoughts afterwards.
Secretary Hegseth, if you listen to my comments, you would have heard me say how amazing our warfighters are.
I heard failure. And the word heard, I heard exactly what you said.
I will tell you how I use the word failure, because I use the word failure to their leaders. You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership? When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money?
Moments ago, a fiery hearing wrapping up where both Republicans and Democrats had some tough questions for Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General John Raisin Cain and the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. You just heard Democratic Senator Gary Peters of Michigan calling Hegseth a failure. Hegseth said that the senator had Trump derangement syndrome. Cain and Hegseth appeared in front of the Appropriations Committee there requesting $87 billion additional dollars. $67 billion of that is for the Department of Defense and the ongoing Iran war. Hegseth also revealed that the American taxpayer has already spent nearly $38 billion on the war so far, which Trump continues to call a conflict. Earlier today, Trump also reiterated his plans to destroy Iran's Pickaxe Mountain. That's an underground facility south of Tehran, and where Israeli intelligence, we're told, believes Iran has moved part of its nuclear stockpile. Take a listen to Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy earlier today.
Now, what happens if we come home and end the blockade to the world?
Sir, Iran has the potential to continue to be a threat.
We need some hard answers and some straight talk. What'll happen, Pete?
Senator, I would agree with the chairman, but the likely outcome is they would try to impose their will on the waterways.
We need straight answers. We need straight answers. Do we have the ability to destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
Senator, a lot of our capabilities are classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military, the most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
New York Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, when it was her turn at the mic, pressed Secretary Hegseth on his request for tens of billions of dollars to fund the ongoing war.
You are asking for unlimited money for bombs when people can't feed their families. And I don't know how this administration intends to defend those decisions to the American people.
Not unlimited bombs, Senator. I'm asking for the right bombs at the right time.
The hearing started with General Cain, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, recognizing the U.S. service members killed in recent days. Secretary Hegseth did not mention the dead in his opening comments. Today, the Pentagon released the identity of the soldier killed during the disposal of an Iranian drone in Iraq. He was 30-year-old Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Swinton. He died on Sunday. General, thank you so much for joining us. I want to play another exchange from the hearing and get your thoughts on it. Take a listen.
Are Russia and China helping Iran? And if so, how?
Well, Senator, as the chairman alluded to, there's definitely adversary alignment, attempts to do so, and there are many ways that we deter that, some of which are, and the depth and extent of it ought to remain classified, and it should, but there are ways in which both of those countries are limiting at different levels, enabling some of the things Iran is doing, yes.
Does that surprise you at all? And what do you think China is doing to enable Iran?
Well, thanks, Jake. It's great to be with you again. No, I'm not surprised by this. I mean, I think we should expect that these two principal competitors to us, Russia and China, are going to take advantage of the situation and for their own purposes try to cast us in the best light or make things as difficult as they can. Russia certainly has a relationship with Iran linked to their operations in the Ukraine, and I think that China is primarily motivated by their economic objectives, and they see that the challenge that this war has presented, not just us, but a variety of the globe here, and they are going to make things as difficult as they can for us, of trying to extricate ourselves from this or accomplish our objectives.
Israel believes that Iran moved advanced centrifuges and part of its stockpile of highly enriched uranium to Pickaxe Mountain after the 12-day war last June. President Trump said this today. Take a listen.
That's where the action is. And we'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon. And there's not a thing they can do about it. Normally I wouldn't say that. If I thought they could do something about it, I would never say that. But we'll be hitting that area pretty soon and very heavily.
Trump insisted that the U.S. had obliterated Fordo last summer, and with it, Iran's nuclear stockpile. We know Pickaxe is a facility deep underground, and it's in central Iran, so a ground invasion would be quite difficult. What do you think is the U.S. military's best chance to destroy that site, Pickaxe?
Well, yeah, thanks. Certainly the way that we went out to Fordo with our massive ordnance penetrators, that's a capability that was developed specifically for this threat. Of course, we used a lot of those last summer. I don't know exactly what the inventory might be, but we've got to be judicious with the employment of those weapons. So I would imagine with this reporting, we're going to want to confirm everything that we can before we take action. But certainly we have to be concerned about Iran and their commitment to a nuclear weapons program and the time that they had after the strikes last summer to reposition resources and try to reconstitute portions of their program.
Last night, the Pentagon spokesperson acknowledged, after lots of media reports and questions, that nearly 100 service members have been injured just since July 7th. There are dozens of unrecorded injuries in the military database. It's called the Defense Casualty Analysis System. I know you know that. That's for our viewers. Some are questioning why it seems the Pentagon is slow-rolling this reporting, slow-rolling acknowledging the WIA, those who are wounded in action. What do you think? Do you find it odd at all?
Well, I think it's important for the American public to appreciate the cost that is being paid in these conflicts we're involved with, and the system that you just identified is one that has been designed for that. It should be updated when the numbers change, and it should be publicly available so American citizens do that. I can't begin to explain why the Pentagon would be doing what they're doing. I mean, certainly there probably are some concerns here about trying to prevent Iran from understanding the damage that they may be inflicting on our servicemen and women or on our facilities. That may be a reason for it, but in my view, I think transparency here is really, really critical for the American people to appreciate what's at stake here with this conflict that we're involved in.
Former CENTCOM Commander General Joseph Votel, always good to have you, sir. Thank you so much, and as always, thank you so much for your service to this country.
So let me give you guys my thoughts, because there were a few things that really stood out to me during that hearing. First of all, let's talk about Senator Gary Peters. I think he made a distinction that a lot of people miss. He wasn't calling America's service members failures. He was directing his criticism at the leadership. Whether you agree with him or not, there's a difference between criticizing the men and women serving on the front lines and criticizing the people responsible for setting the strategy. And that brings me to the biggest question of this entire hearing. What is the strategy? Winning a war isn't just about having the strongest military in the world. It's about having clear objectives, a realistic end goal, and a plan for what success actually looks like. Throughout this conflict, we've heard repeated promises that Iran's nuclear capabilities have been severely degraded. Yet here we are once again discussing another possible strike on another underground facility. If military action continues without a clearly defined endpoint, people are naturally going to start asking where this is all leading. The second thing that stood out to me was the cost. We're talking about tens of billions of additional dollars being requested on top of tens of billions that have already been spent. Regardless of your political views, I think taxpayers have every right to ask how long this conflict is expected to continue and what they're ultimately paying for. The other issue that really caught my attention was transparency. The discussion about wounded service members is incredibly important. The American people deserve accurate and timely information about the human cost of any military conflict. Those serving in uniform deserve that, and so do their families. Finally, I think this hearing highlighted something much bigger than partisan politics. Both Republicans and Democrats were asking difficult questions. Some wanted to know whether the military has the capability to eliminate Iran's remaining nuclear infrastructure. Others wanted to know whether there is a coherent long-term strategy at all. Those are legitimate questions in a democracy. Supporting the troops and asking tough questions of civilian leadership are not mutually exclusive. In fact, holding leaders accountable is part of ensuring that the sacrifices made by service members are never taken for granted. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think the administration has a clear strategy for the Iran war, or do you think this hearing exposed more unanswered questions than answers? And if you're still watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news commentaries. I'll see you guys in the next one.